All right, how are you doing? And welcome back to another episode of Odd Crew Oddities. Today we'll be talking about John Wayne Gacy, aka Pogo the Clown, aka the Killer Clown. I am Goldy,
I'm Keenan.
Nick.
and we are the Odd Crew, and these are the breaks. So, John Wayne Gacy, born March 17th, 1942, in Chi-Town, Illinois. He died by lethal injection May 10th, 1994, in Hillcrest Penitentiary in Illinois. He was married twice with two children. His first spouse lasted from 1964 to 1969, with his second from 72 to 76. He had two children, Michael and Christine. He was born to John Gacy and Marion Robinson, and his dad was an ass. So his span of crimes were from July 3rd, 1972 to December 11th, 1978, and was apprehended and arrested on the 21st of December of 78. Gacy killed 33 people. They're teenage to young men. He would rape, torture, and then stow the majority of them under a crawl space in his kitchen, while he would bury the other ones at his backyard, and then the last few at the was that Des Plaines River is where he would store the last four victims that we knew of. He killed 32 of his 31s by asphyxiation or strangling, and his first victim being stabbed to death. He was actually convicted of 33 murders and one sodomization charge. He was known as the Killer Clown because of the charitable services at fundraising events, parades, and children's parties where he dressed as Pogo the Clown, or Patches the Clown, characters that he actually created. Just a sick fuck.
Yeah, you're a weird dude if you want to dress up for a clown or dress up as a clown.
You're a weird
Dress
dude
up
if
as
you
a
want to dress
clown.
up as a clown and
Yeah.
rape little boys. Kind of fucking weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something ain't right.
In his early life, he was the second child of three boys. Or, I'm sorry, he was the second child and the only son born to his father. Yeah. His father was an auto repair mechanic and World War I veteran. So his father was very abusive, and Gacy was always trying to impress his father and get the love and care that he wanted from his father. And as you're gonna find out, his father's a very cold individual and give
Old school hard ass
old
motherfucker.
school.
Yeah.
Some of his first memories of him and his father, of him just getting the shit kicked in by his dad. He was 4 years old. He was taking apart an engine that he shouldn't have been, and his dad knocked him out with a broomstick. Just fucking cracked him in the back of the head, knocking him unconscious. His father regularly belittled him and often compared him unfavorably with his sisters, disdained, accusing him of being dumb, stupid, and while regularly commenting that he was never good enough in his father's eyes. His father just didn't care to have him at all. Um, he later went on at the age of 6 to steal a toy truck from a store, and his mom made him walk back and apologize to the store owners and give the toy back, and then told his dad, and his dad decided that he was going to beat him and physically abuse him to the point where his mom actually stepped in to defend him, only to make things worse. And now he was accused by his father of being a sissy, a mama's boy, and probably going to grow up queer. How right his father would be.
Damn. Boy can't do anything right, basically.
Well, fuck him, dude. He did something right. Died.
Kill the wrong son.
Wrong kid died.
Wrong kid died. Wrong kid died that day. I never loved you. You weren't even a son to me.
Basically, that kind of man.
Yeah.
Hated this kid.
Fuck.
But with a Polish accent.
Yes, with a Polish accent. Good old skis.
Yeah, you're mixing. Well, I mean, that's what type of men they are. Fucking, you got to mix a military man with a fucking with a mechanic. Yeah, that's just two types of
Beat you the fuck
man
up.
that just. Yeah. It's kind of sad, but it's true.
In 1949, Gacy's father was informed that his son and another boy had been caught fondling a young woman. So his father reacted by whipping him with a razor strop as punishment. And later on that year, Gacy himself admitted that a family friend had molested him. He would take him out on truck rides. He was a contractor and would just sexually assault him while he was riding along. Gacy never told his fathers because he felt that his father would blame him for the entire incidents. Which, looking at it, it sounds like he has Stockholm to me about his father.
Yeah.
His father is a fucking hard ass, and all he really wanted to do was just have his father's love and affection towards him, which he never got. His dad just didn't give a shit. It's just like, oh yeah, you're fucking stupid. You're a man. Suck it the fuck up. Stop being a sissy. Was his mentality? Is you bottled your feelings. You didn't talk about your feelings. You got home. You beat your kids and went to bed.
Jesus Christ.
I'm just saying that's the mentality that this man had. Was
Had some drinks here and there.
Yeah, I'd have I'd fucking have a few brewskis while fixing up these cars, and then I would turn around and come home, have a couple more brewskis, and punch my son. It's formula for making
Fucked up
a man.
mentality.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
Fucked up mentality.
Not condoning that you should go home and beat your fucking children.
Not in the slightest. But
Not in the slightest.
No.
But, fucking happens.
Yeah.
He would not be able to join sports in school due to a heart condition. He was an average student, didn't have very many friends, often bullied by the neighborhood children and classmates. He worked with the school's truancy officer and volunteers, always to run errands for teachers, his neighbors. He began experiencing blackouts and was hospitalized often due to these blackouts and seizures that he was having. In 1957, he was hospitalized for his appendix bursting. He estimated between the ages of 14 and 18 that he had almost spent an entire year in the hospital due to these episodes and events going on in his life. He would also attribute to the decline of his grades for missing school because of these events, and his father just didn't believe him. Just
You making that shit up, boy.
all you want is just sympathy and love from me, and I'm not gonna give it to you. He openly accused him of faking everything.
How do you fake bursting an appendix?
Yeah.
I don't think he was. I don't think he was more so like oh, you have a burst appendix that you faked. I think it's more so like the seizures and blacking out and stuff like that.
Those are the blackouts. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think that's what he was really like saying, hey, like, you're not really having a seizure, you're not really blacking out, you're just a pussy. suck it the fuck up.
You're doing this for attention.
You just want me to say I love you, and I will never love you. That's just what it seems like to me. He just wants to fucking do this shit. His mother, his friends, his sisters, they never doubted any of his illnesses, even though he never actually was diagnosed with anything during this time frame. Uh, in in high school, a few of his friends recalled multiple instances where his father would just ridicule or beat him with just for no fucking reason. On one occasion in '57, the same friend witnessed an incident at Gacy's house where Gacy's father began shouting at his son for no reason and then began hitting him. Gacy's mother attempted to intervene. The friend recalled that Gacy simply put his hands up in defense and never did anything. Just let his dad beat on him. He's put his hands up and protected himself and just let the beating happen. He
I feel like
became
the dad had to have some issues himself, though, too, because of that. Just to be able to walk around and be so angry at someone that you beat them without any provocation whatsoever.
I mean, so like, yeah, it's fucked up. It's really not a like. I'm kind of chuckling because like I know how this story just unfolds, but you know he deserved to be treated differently than he was. So wait, he was born in '42, right? He's born in '42, and then in '56 he got in trouble for sexually or '49, right? Yeah, 49, 49. In '49, he got accused of sexually fondling this young girl. Uh, so maybe that's kind of stems where like it starts. Yeah, like about 7 years old at that point, he got accused of fondling this girl. He fucking dad's like, oh well, you're gonna grow up and be a piece of shit, and I mean, wasn't wrong, but could have been treated better. He might not have turned into the piece
Yeah,
of
I was gonna
shit
say
that he
maybe if he
was.
was treated better, then he wouldn't have killed 33 people.
I still think he would have done it. He's a fucking piece of shit. I mean, if you're gonna start fondling and molesting people at the age of 7, you're probably gonna grow up to do it, regardless of how you're upbrought. Because that's around the same age that he was like really getting beat with shit.
Yeah, and the beatings could have also contributed to his mental state as well.
The violence that he was able to commit because it happened to him. So
I was able to suck it up and push forward. Why can't you? In 1960, he turned 18. His dad probably also hated him because it probably ruined his favorite drinking holiday for him. Got this worthless son, and he was born on St. Paddy's Day. That's exactly what it is. Just instead of getting pissed blackout drunk like the rest of America is, I have to fucking attend your birthday party.
You can do both. It's not really shined at, but you can do both.
Yeah, fuck that, dude. Still get blackout drunk and go to your kid's birthday party. So when he turned 18 in 1960, he got really into politics and the political scene. He was a precinct captain for a Democratic Party candidate in his neighborhood. The decision earned more criticism from his father, who accused his son of being a patsy. Gacy later speculated that the decision may have been an attempt to seek the acceptance from others that he never received from his father. So he started getting into politics to try and be accepted and to fill this void that his father just never gave him. Yeah. His father was like, oh, hey, I want this to happen. Oh, hey, I want this to happen. You know, I'm not going to do it because I'm Polish. I was in World War One. You're a fat sack of shit. They couldn't do anything. So
Go fuck yourself.
pretty much, like that's the running theme in his early life was just him going and seeking approval from his father, and his father just, you're stupid, you're a sissy, you're probably gonna be gay, you're gonna be nothing. Like this
Just a
isn't in
big old fat
today's
sack of
era.
no.
Yeah, this isn't
Yeah.
today's era. This is the 40s, 50s, and 60s and 70s that all of this is transpiring in. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
back when you couldn't really be an openly gay member of society without a lot of like critics and scrutiny. But
Shame.
and to bring in with him being born in 1900, like like
He
he's
even has an older world view
older
of it.
world view of it. Of like I went and I participated in the First World War. Like I did that shit.
Yeah.
you know, I was in the trenches. I had shotguns. I did all this. So later that same year, he bought his son a car with the title being still in his name, and him saying, "Okay, this car will be yours once you finish repaying it. Like once you make all of my monthly payments, I will then in turn, sign it over to you." He would routinely take the keys away from the car because he would fuck up in his father's eyes. And on an occasion, a couple of years later, Gacy actually had keys, an extra set of keys made so that he could still drive the car around. So his father was like, "Oh, okay, I'll just take the distribution cap off and poison you with your own car."
It's fucking brutal.
It is.
It really is fucking straight savagery. I'm just gonna put all these vapors directly into your fucking face. Yeah, this is the 60s, early 60s. These cars aren't fucking regulated like they are today.
Hell no.
You're just getting straight fucking exhaust fumes.
Straight fumes.
Um, he said after 3 days that he felt completely sick, like crap, and drained. His father eventually put the cap back on, and he took off to Vegas to go find work. He left Chicago, went to Vegas. He became a ambulance service member, and then transferred to Palm Mortuary. Mortuary, if I can speak words.
That's when I make mulch.
Yeah, that's where they make mulch out of human bodies. So, and he worked for 3 months before he returned back to Chicago as a mortician. High quality H2O. Like it's tea. So he worked there for 3 years, 3 months before he went back to Chicago. During his time there, he slept on a cot behind the embalming room. So he observed morticians embalming dead bodies all the time, and later confessed that no one even while alone, he just had this urge for the dead teenage males, embracing, caressing their bodies, and experimenting or experiencing a sense of shock. And it promoted him to call his mother the next day and ask if his father would allow him to return home. His father agreed, and the same day Gacy moved back in with his family in Chicago. Upon his return, despite the fact he had failed to graduate from high school, Gacy successfully enrolled in the Northwestern Business College, where he graduated in 1963. Subsequently,
Words.
Good thing I can't read. He took a management training position with the Nunn Bush Shoe Company in 1964. The company transferred Gacy to Springfield. He worked as a salesman, eventually got promoted to manager of his department. He then became engaged to his first wife, Marilyn Myers, a co-worker in the department store he managed. After 9 months of courtship, the couple married in September 1963 or 64. Marilyn's father owned KFC chain in Waterloo, Iowa, and Gacy and his wife moved out there so he can be a manager for these restaurants, with the understanding that he would move to Marilyn's parents' home, which was, I don't give a shit about fun facts about his life. During the courtship, Gacy joined a local, the Jaycees, and you guys looked that up, and it was a managerial place and businesses, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically like a group for ages from 18 to 30 for basically
40,
people that are 40. Like managers get together and do like lessons, shit like that. Basically, it's just like a
workshops
club.
and talks and
Yeah.
AKA
like
fucking
that.
each other's wives.
Yeah, basically.
Flip swap for wives.
It was just he just kind of used that as a platform to sleep with all these other women and for other men to sleep with his wife,
and
drugs. It's also where he had
bunch of other stuff.
his second homosexual experience. This incident after one of his colleagues in Springfield piled him with drinks and invited him to spend an evening with him upon his sofa. The colleague performed oral sex upon him while he was drunk. By 1965, Gacy had he was on the rise, and he was actually the vice president of the Jaycees Springfield chapter. And the same year, he was named as the third most outstanding Jaycees in the state of Illinois, which is kind of crazy. So in 1966 is when he accepted this offer from his father-in-law to manage these KFC stores in Waterloo. He was going to be making $15,000 per year, which translates to today's money of $115,000.
Damn.
Plus a share in the profits earned via the restaurants. That was just his salary. So he had bonuses on top of that.
Yeah.
That's some good money.
Yeah.
He was making some damn good money. Not bad for somebody that was stupid and couldn't finish high school.
Yeah, exactly.
He then transferred to the Waterloo Jaycees town, or like Jaycees club. Regularly offering extended hours to the organization in addition to the 12 and 14-hour days he would work managing these restaurants. He would offer just all of his time outside of that. 1967, outstanding vice president of the Waterloo chapter. He would provide free fried chicken to all his colleagues and earned the nickname the Colonel. Fucking hell, man.
I do declare some free fried chicken for all you motherfuckers in here.
All you scantily clad women and men. If anybody would like to partake in the sampling of my loins, you may do so after the feast. Okay. His wife gave birth to 2 children. Michael was born February 66, and their daughter was Christine was born March of 67. Gacy himself later described this period of his life as perfect, adding that he finally earned the long sought after approval of his father. On one occasion in July of 66, Gacy's parents paid a visit to him in Iowa, and during this time his father apologized privately to him for the physical and emotional abuse that he had inflicted on him throughout his entire childhood, before proudly informing him the right son died that day. Um, uh,
Perfect.
yeah, that he was wrong and that he apologized. He didn't mean to say all these things. So he got the validation that he seeked for so long. He was in a successful marriage. He had a successful job. He had 2 children. His father came up to him, was like, "I was wrong about you. I shouldn't have beat you physically. I shouldn't have tore you down emotionally." But he still had to do it in private. He couldn't do it in front of somebody else, which makes me kind of think that his father might have also been that guy that was just like, "Well, without me, you wouldn't have had this shit. You're
Yeah,
welcome." So like, I don't think he apologized. I think it was more of a like he was like, "Hey,
backhanded
Dad,"
comment.
yeah, or not even that. I think it was more like, "Hey, Dad, how do you think I'm doing?" and whatnot. Like he pulled his father to the side and was like, "Look at what I did, Dad. I'm running these 3 KFCs. I'm the vice president of this JC's chapter here too. I've got 2 kids. I'm having a successful marriage. I'm doing all of this and all of that." And he was just probably like, "You wouldn't be shit without me. If I didn't treat you and raise you the way I did, you would have never achieved what you achieved." Just reading, that's just kind of like how his father seemed. I don't see his father ever like faltering from that. Like, yeah, I understand, you're a little bit older, like everybody's getting older and everybody's doing this, that, and the other. Nah, I don't feel that his father would have been the guy that would have changed enough to go, "Oh, sorry, son, you've turned out more and better than I could ever imagine." I see him more as like a, "You're dang right, I fucking, if it wasn't for me hitting you in the head when you were 6 years old with that broomstick, you wouldn't have been like this." That's the kind of dad I envision him to be.
Yeah.
More like instead of apologizing, he gave me "you're welcome."
Yeah, like
You're welcome for
You're
where you're
fucking
at right
welcome.
now.
Dad, is there anything that you want to say to me at all? Yeah, you're fucking welcome for the life that you have today. Right? You can fucking eat my asshole, you queer.
Now, now go get me a whiskey.
Now go get me some of that damn fucking KFC. Um, there was it. And here comes the fucked up side of the JCs. The unseemly side of the JC's life and Waterloo that involved wife swapping, prostitution, drug use, and pornography. And Gacy was deeply involved in many of those activities and regularly cheated on his wife with local prostitutes. He is also known to have opened a club in his basement where he allowed his employees to drink alcohol and play pool. Although Gacy employed teenagers of both sexes at his restaurant, he socialized only with the younger male employees. Many were given alcohol before Gacy made sexual advances towards them, which, if rebuffed, he would claim were jokes or a test of their morals. Like, "Ha ha 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 ha, I was just making sure you're not gay." No, I'm
So
not.
I want to sleep with you? Huh, queer?
Yeah, like,
Fucking
ha ha
queer.
ha ha, kiss me on the mouth if you're straight, dude. Come on. Like,
Hey,
I'm
does my
not
butt
gay.
smell funny?
Like, I'm not gay. Are you gay? Kiss me. Let's find out. We get hard when I touch you right here. And he was probably, he was just trying to, pass it off as a joke. Yeah, no, dude. No, dude. I know. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I wasn't trying to kiss you. I was just trying to see if you were gay or not. So if I knew I had to fire you, right? Which comes to his actual first arrest in August of '67. He committed his first known sexual assault upon a teenager who was 15 years old named Donald Voorhees. The son of a fellow JC, Gacy lured Voorhees to his house with the promise of showing him pornographic films. Gacy piled Voorhees with alcohol and pressured the youth to perform oral sex upon him. Over the following months, several other youths were sexually abused in a similar manner, including one whom Gacy encouraged to have sex with his own wife before blackmailing the youth into performing oral sex upon him. Gacy tricked several teenagers into believing he was commissioned and conducting homosexual experiments in the interest of scientific research, and he would pay them up to $50 to do this. So not only is, like, he's also a child predator.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing worse than a rapist is a child rapist, right? Like,
Yeah.
or depending on the video, a child.
A child.
That video is fucking. What's worse than a rapist? A child. So he he managed to go for almost 6-7 months before he got caught in March of '68 when the Voorheeses filed a report on him for sexually assaulting their child. Voorhees Sr. immediately informed the police that Gacy was arrested and subsequently charged with oral sodomy in relation to Donald and the attempted sexual assault of a 16-year-old named Edward Lynch. Gacy adamantly denied all charges and demanded to take a polygraph test. This request was granted, although the results indicated Gacy was nervous while he denied any wrongdoing in relation to either Voorhees or Lynch. So he just kept passing it off as, oh, I'm doing this for scientific research, and I will pay you. I will pay you to do this, to do this, to do this. I'll give you $50. It's all in. It's not gay. It's research. I want to further be able to explain what's happening, right? He publicly denied any wrongdoing, insisted that the charges were politically motivated, and that Voorhees Sr. had opposed Gacy's nomination for appointment as president of the Iowa Jaycees or of the Iowa Jaycees. Several follow Jaycees fellow. I can't fucking read or type apparently because I put the wrong thing there. Found Gacy's story credible and rallied to support him. However, on May 10th, 1968, Gacy was indicted on the sodomy charges. The most striking aspect of the test results is the patient's total denial of responsibility for anything that has happened to him. He can produce an alibi for everything. He presents himself as the victim of circumstance, blames other people who are out to get him. The patient attempts to assure a sympathetic response by depicting himself as being at the mercy of a hostile environment. Now I have a report here from a psychiatric evaluation on him. On August 30th, 1968, Gacy pursued one of his victims, an 18-year-old Russell Schroeder, to physically assault Voorhees in an effort to discourage the boy from testifying against him in an upcoming trial. He agreed to lure Voorhees to a secluded spot, spraying mace in his face and beating him. Gacy promised to pay Schroeder $300 if he followed through with the plot. In early September, Schroeder lured Voorhees to an isolated county park, sprayed mace supplied by Gacy into the young man's eyes, and beat him, all while shouting that he will not testify against Gacy in the upcoming trial. Voorhees managed to escape and immediately reported the assault to police, identifying Schroeder as the attacker. Schroeder was arrested the following day, Despite initially denying any involvement, he soon confessed to having assaulted Voorhees, indicating that he had done it at Gacy's request. Gacy was arrested and additionally charged in relation to hiring Schroeder to assault and intimidate Jason Voorhees. Jason Voorhees. Donald Voorhees. Sorry, I can't say that last name without thinking about Jason. On September 12th, Gacy was ordered to undergo a psychiatric evaluation at the Psychiatric Hospital of the State University of Illinois. Two doctors had examined Gacy over a period of 17 days before concluding he had an antisocial personality disorder, a personality disorder which constructs such as sociopathic and psychopathic lifestyle. Was unlikely to benefit from treatment, medical or therapy-wise, and that his behavioral patterns were likely to bring him to repeated conflict with society. The doctors also concluded he was mentally compensating or competent to stand trial. So they didn't look at him and go, "Oh, he's he has this disorder. He will repeat. There is no better for him, but he is sane enough to go on trial and stand trial against any accusations accused against him." Because he was just a sociopath, devoid of feeling, and that sucks for him. There's not much to it. He's fucking crazy. He has no feelings.
His problem was he lived in a society.
Yeah, his problem was that he was breathing. And the one thing that could solve all of his, like, in his mind, his problem with the world is that other people around him existed. He was
Basically.
he was a functioning sociopath, but he was still a sociopath nonetheless.
No remorse for what he did.
No,
whatsoever.
not at all. He pleaded not guilty to all charges brought against him. November 7th, 1968, before the judge, Gacy, he said that him and Voorhees had it was a relationship, that they were having sexual relations with each other. Insisted that Voorhees had offered his sexual services to him and that he acted out of curiosity. His story was not believed. Despite his lawyer's recommendation for probation, Gacy was convicted of sodomy December 3rd, 1968, and sentenced to 10 years at, what was that, Amanos State Penitentiary?
Anamosa.
Yeah,
Anamosa.
whatever. Probably grew corn all day. On the day Gacy was convicted and sentenced, his wife his wife divorced his ass. It was just like, fuck you. His wife petitioned for a divorce, requesting possessions of the couple's home, property, sole custody of the two children, and subsequently alimony payments. The court ruled in her favor, and the divorce was finalized September 18th, 1969. Gacy never saw his first wife or children ever again. I mean, better for them.
Damn. It is better for them.
During his incarceration, Gacy rapidly acquired a reputation as a model prisoner. Within months of his arrival, he had risen to the position of head cook. He also joined the inmate JC chapter and increased their membership figures from 50 to 650 in a span of less than 18 months. He is also known to have both secured and increased the inmates' daily pay for the prison mess hall, and to have supervised had to supervise several projects to improve conditions for inmates at the prison. On one occasion, Gacy oversaw the installation of a miniature golf course in the prison's recreational yard.
What the fuck?
These motherfuckers are playing
Mini golf?
putt golf.
Mini golf.
Get the fuck out of here. Get that shit the
Not even
fuck
supposed to be
out of
in the
here.
yard. There should be a basketball court and some bleachers.
And some fucking
Shit.
weights. That's it. You're gonna
Yeah.
lift weights, and you're gonna play basketball, and you're gonna have people dressed as fucking cheerleaders. That's it.
And maybe enough space for you to play flag football or soccer.
No, fuck that shit.
Maybe.
No. You want to play soccer?
That's dependent on the area.
You can play soccer with a rock. You can play dodgeball.
Dodge Rock.
Dodge rock. If you can dodge a rock, you can dodge a ball. In June 1969, Gacy first applied to the state of Iowa Board of Parole for early release. This application was denied I can't words today. In preparation for his second scheduled parole hearing in May 1970, Gacy completed 16 high school courses where he attained his diploma in November of 1969. On Christmas Day 1969, Gacy's father died from cirrhosis of his liver. Gacy was not told until 2 days after his father's death, where he heard the news. He collapsed to the floor, started crying unconsolably, and had to be under supervision by prison staff. Gacy requested supervised compensation leave from prison to attend his father's funeral, but was denied his waiver request. So that's another thing that kind of like leads me to him being, having like Stockholm syndrome. Yeah, it's like his father doesn't seem like the type of person that would have ever changed his ways and been like, you know what, son, I apologize, you did this, and you're so much better for it, and all of that stuff. I don't.
Yeah, but for one apology to still God, you gotta have Stockholm syndrome to even to think of it as an actual apology, and to also still love that man unconditionally.
And then you also got to think about
after all that he did.
Yeah, but you also have to think about it now is that you went to jail and he was right. In his ways, he's right. You had all of this, but you were queer, you were sissy, you keep playing the victim card. You're literally everything that he told you were as a child and as a man now. So, who's to say that like as soon as the news broke that he forcefully had oral sex with this kid and all of this other stuff started breaking, that his father wasn't just like, I was right all along, you were a piece of shit, fuck you. Yeah. But for a model inmate to not get supervised leave to go to attend his father's funeral is a little bit weird, considering all the stuff that he had done for that place. He even went and got his diploma. He built a mini golf course. He raised wages.
I still think that's under the whole entire this was way back in the day before.
This is also true.
We had the acceptance of gays and everything like that. So I still think that they probably looked at him yeah, he's doing all this good stuff, but he still touched little boys. He had sex with young kids, with young boys. He's gay, he's a rapist. We're not going to let him out of here. He might do it again.
Yeah.
And even being supervised, he might do it again.
Well, I mean, that and the whole fact that 2 psychologists were like, yo, he's going to do this shit again.
Yeah.
He was granted parole. In June 18, 1970, he had served 18 months of his 10-year sentence, and he was given parole on 2 conditions.
That's what happens when you're a model prisoner. He
was to relocate to Chicago to live with his mother, and to have a 10 p.m. curfew. The Iowa Board of Parole received regular updates of his progression. So they let him go. Upon his release, Gacy told a friend and fellow Jaycees member, Clarence Lane, who picked him up from prison upon his release, that he would never go back to jail. He intended to reestablish himself back in Waterloo. However, within 24 hours upon his release, Gacy relocated to Chicago to live with his mother. July 19th, and shortly after, obtained a job as a short order cook at a restaurant. February 12th, 1971, Gacy was charged with sexually abusing or assaulting a teenager. The youth claimed that Gacy had lured him into his car at a Chicago Greyhound bus terminal and had driven him home, where he had attempted to force the young man into having sex. This complaint was subsequently dismissed when the youth failed to appear in court. I also was reading about that not only like the whole he didn't appear in court, he was actually trying to blackmail Gacy to get money as well. But all charges were dropped.
That's
the different one.
Yeah, that's a different one. This is technically his, like, it'll say it later on down in the information, but the Chicago Greyhound bus one, this is the one where he this was his first murder.
No, not in 71.
It wasn't?
No, this was
maybe that was just his place where he actually was targeting people.
probably.
Maybe this was just a random one that
yeah, I think this might have been
most rape victims disappear. So
because
they don't want to
failed to appear in court.
Person again.
8 months later, October of 71, his parole ended. The following month, records of Gacy's previous criminal convictions in Iowa were subsequently sealed. With financial assistance from his mother, Gacy bought a house in Norwood Park Township in
unincorporated.
Yeah, in Cook County. I'll give you about what his address was. He lived there until 1978 when he was arrested in December. August of 1971, shortly after Gacy and his mother moved into the house, he became engaged to Carol Hoff, a divorcee with 2 young daughters. Hoff, whom he had briefly dated in high school, had been a friend of his younger sister. His fiance moved into the house soon after the couple announced their engagement. Gacy's mother moved out of the house shortly before his wedding, July 1st, 1972. I don't care about any of that. This one's already starting to run long, so we're gonna cut some shit out. I'm saying we're already at 50 minutes. So now we'll go into our ad sponsor read for Rogue Energy. Rogue Energy is the sugar-free and focused formula designed to power you through your day. Whether you are crushing an epic 10-hour gaming session, craving for that midterm exam, getting a killer workout just before going to work, or just needing to stay alert to get through the day, Rogue Energy has you covered. Our unique energy and focus formula is specifically designed to maximize your performance without the sugar, jitters, or crashes from all those other energy drinks out there. Boost your energy, sharpen your focus, maximize your endurance, and increase your reaction speed today. They have a plethora of flavors between watermelon, grape, peach tea, pink lemonade. Go to rogueenergy.com and use code Goldy OCG for 10% off your purchase. So now let's get back into this raping clown. So I'm the greatest person for any company out there that wants to do ad reads. I'm so fucking good, dude. You want an ad read right there in the middle of a clown about to rape and kill people? I'm your guy. If you want him to just any kind of fucking thing you want, I can wrote an ad reading any kind of fucked up story you want me to tell. Okay. Now we're off to the first murder. And this is Timothy McCoy, January 2nd, 1972. Gacy picked up a 16-year-old Timothy McCoy from Chicago's Greyhound bus terminal. Gacy took McCoy, who was traveling from Michigan to Omaha. I don't know why they wouldn't just say Nebraska. They said Michigan to Omaha.
Yeah.
It's Nebraska. On a sightseeing tour of Chicago and drove him to his house. With the promise that he could stay the night and be driven back to the bus station in time to catch his next bus. Gacy's later account of the murder, he said that he woke up in the morning to McCoy standing in his bedroom doorway with a kitchen knife. Gacy then proceeded to just be a raging sociopath and leap out of his bed, and McCoy raised his arms like, I'm not here to kill you.
Whoa.
While doing that, the knife got tilted upwards and accidentally cut Gacy's forearm, leaving a scar that supported the accounts. He then twisted the knife from McCoy's wrist, banged his head up against the bedroom door, the bedroom wall, and knocked him down, and then just started fucking stabbing him. Repeatedly. Just stabbed him in the chest.
Stab.
Gacy claimed that he went to his kitchen and saw an opened carton of eggs and a slab of unsliced bacon on the kitchen table. McCoy had also set up the table for two. He had walked into his room to wake him up, to let him know that he was making breakfast, and this sociopath just killed him. And then buried him. Nope. Buried him in his crawl space underneath the kitchen. And he would later put a layer of concrete over. His second victim.
Still, that first kill just bothers me so much, though.
Just how
he was
like
gonna make you breakfast,
like
and you killed him.
Like,
I was
dude,
just trying to be neighborly, man.
I was just trying to, you probably dicked me down really good last night. I was just trying to help you out, make you breakfast in the morning. Shit.
I know you fat. I was trying to make you breakfast. Damn.
Damn, motherfucker, dude. The reason why bacon wasn't cut up yet is because he was just gonna cook it as one big fucking piece. Goddamn fat ass.
You fat ass.
Would you like bacon extra thick?
You gave me that schmeat last night, so I'm giving you some schmeat this morning.
Oh man, you're gonna like my nuts when I slap them across your chin tonight, boy. So in an interview after his arrest, he admitted to killing McCoy. He said that he felt totally drained, but yet never experienced such a mind-numbing orgasm. And that's when he realized that death was the ultimate thrill for him, because he's a fucking sociopath.
Yeah. And a psychopath.
This was, yeah, man, it's a 1 of 1. Typically, if you're a sociopath, you're a psychopath. But not if you're a psychopath, you're not typically a sociopath.
Yeah.
If you're like, if you have one, doesn't necessarily mean you have the other. But if you have one of those two, you typically have both. If you're a sociopath, you're typically a psychopath at the same time. But you could be a psychopath and not be a sociopath, because most psychopaths actually have feelings. Gacy later stated that the second time he committed murder was January of 1974, which that's a 2-year gap, right? Yeah, it was in 1972. Yep. So that's a 2-year gap.
Awful long time.
I mean, he was killing people from 1972 to 1978. And
to get to the number that he hit, he picked up.
He picked up.
Oh yeah.
He ramped up that speed. He waited 2 years before he killed the second victim.
Those numbers, kids. Those are rookie numbers.
Yeah, dude. Matthew McConaughey paid him a visit.
Jesus.
if you like pop culture references, where this is also the podcast for you too. Um, so this is where he would go on to um, asphyxiate and strangle. Uh, of the 33 kills, all of them were done by asphyxiation or strangling, except for that first kill was by stabbing. Um, there was an unidentified teen with brown hair, estimated between the ages of 14 and 18, who Gacy strangled to death and then stowed his body in his closet before burying him in his crawl space. I believe the number is 26 was buried in his crawl space. 4 were buried out by a riverbank, and 3 were buried in his backyard. He he'd then go almost another year before killing. So like he really ramped up towards the end of his reign of terror and by killing all these people. This is when he started to become a clown. It was in the 75 is when he started becoming a clown, and he would go and attend all of these fucking parties and parades and all of this stuff. And he also faked a contracting company. Well, it really wasn't fake. He would just lure people, teenagers, young males, with this contracting company so that he could, rape and kill them. He would. He developed pretty much in his mind a foolproof fucking plan. Give these teenagers alcohol, drug them up, have sex with them, and kill them, and then rinse and repeat, and rinse and repeat, and just keep doing it over and over and over again.
Yeah, he nicknamed himself the handcuff trick and the rope trick.
Yep.
Were his 2 tricks, because he was a clown, he was an entertainer. They were his tricks, and the handcuff trick, even quoted stating like the real trick to it is that you have to have the key on you during the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which is really fucked up.
Yeah.
Because then it's not a trick. You just got the key.
No, because like a lot of the people that not all of the guys that he was able to like pump full of alcohol or drugs or anything like that. So he was able to just trick them into like he's about to do like a magic trick basically, and he'd show them that he had the key, and he'd put it in his pocket, and then
handcuff,
he'd rape them. He'd trick them into handcuffs basically,
and then he would rape them.
He'd get them out. He would rape them and then choke them to death with a rope.
Which was the rope trick, placing a rope over his victim's neck and trying a makeshift tourniquet until the victim was strangled to death. Which you can't put a tourniquet on someone's throat.
You don't do that. That's a big no-no.
The big no-no.
It don't work like that.
You can't tourniquet a neck. Okay, you can't. You'll just kill them faster or slower. But following all of these killings, he had a divorce, his second divorce, following a heated argument regarding her failing to balance his contracting checkbook correctly in October of 1975. So to me, it sounds like he started to turn when he started to get this power, right? He started to turn into his father, right? He was able to abuse these kids. He was able to rape these kids. Now, I'm not saying his father raped him as a child, but he started to take out and act. In my mind, this is just from what I'm thinking about it, is that he was able to take this sick, twisted fantasy of his mind and going, oh, when I was this age, my dad was beating the shit out of me. So he would just, beat these kids up, handcuff them, rope them, rape them, and whatnot. You know, and I feel like that was, him enacting this fantasy of being his dad was by not raping but beating these kids and torturing them. That was him being his father. She asked for a divorce. He agreed to his wife's request by mutual consent. She continued living in West Summerdale until February of 76, and she and her daughters moved into an apartment of their own. On March 2nd, Gacy's divorce decree upon the false grounds of Gacy's infertility or infidelity, I'm sorry. I fat fingered my notes here. Was finalized. Because we all know that he wasn't fucking women.
Yeah. It wasn't the ladies.
And he was getting that pussy.
Oh shit.
That young boy pussy.
For people who know what pussy is, it's that boy puss.
It's that butt pussy.
Goddamn Big Mouth. Goddamn that show for bringing that shit into fucking society.
What, pussy?
Yes.
Get the fuck out of here.
That's the first place I heard that shit.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
When did that come out? That's Nick Kroll's. That's Nick Kroll's thing. Yeah, no, dude, they totally talk about pussy in like the Hangover movies too, by the way.
Oh, never really paid attention to that, I guess.
Yeah, the whole when fucking Stu falls in love with the lady boy, fucking Dr. Ken was like, "Oh yeah, you got her pussy, or she got your pussy. She nut in you, you nut on floor." Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Didn't.
Hey, Mountain Dew.
Pay attention to that.
Mountain Dew. Sponsor us. That was me cracking open an ice cold Mountain Dew. It's delicious. It's meant to be mixed with whiskey.
That is a fact.
Whatever choice you choose that. If you don't drink Mountain Dew and you drink Mountain Dew because you heard our podcast, thank you.
Just thank you. Thank you.
I'm not sponsored by them, so I'm not going to give you an ad read on Mountain Dew, although it's magically delicious. It's the nectar of the gods. It's green. Makes your pee-pee smaller.
Not always.
It makes your pee-pee smaller. Yeah, well, if it's Mountain Dew, not Code Red Mountain Dew, or if it's just Mountain Dew, it's green. It better be green. I'm not drinking it.
Green.
The LimeWire's not bad.
No, I like the other flavors. I'm just saying, if I get Mountain Dew and it's not green, I'm not fucking drinking it. I'm getting it. No. All right, anyway, we're getting sidetracked here because this podcast is going on way longer. But it's also a bigger person, so we had a lot more years to cover.
Yeah.
All right.
Good push.
Yeah, it hurt. It wasn't really a burp that was supposed to happen. It kind of just fucking happened, all right?
It was
Yeah. So he was divorced in March of 76, right? And 2 years later, he was arrested in December of 78. This behavior included hearing his car arrive and depart in all hours, in the early hours of morning, and noticing light switches on and off in the home at odd hours, and his keeping company with younger males. One neighbor later recollected that for several years she and her son had repeatedly been awoken by the repeating sounds of muffled screaming, shouting, and crying in early hours, which she and her son had identified as emitting from a house adjacent to theirs on Summerdale. He just opened up a nice cold Mountain Dew. Sponsor us. I'm sorry, that's a fucking terrible joke. I hate myself for making that joke. God damn it!
It was also 7-Up.
I know it's 7-Up. I know you went and bought 7-Up, all right? Like, shit. It's just. Seriously, go to rogueenergy.com. Buy a tumbler. Use code
It's
Goldy.
delicious.
OCG.
It is delicious.
My favorite's peach tea
So far, mine is the mango pineapple.
and cement flavored.
Mine still has to be the newer Rogue Berry. I love that Rogue Berry.
Okay, move forward. They don't pay me enough money to do 2 ad reads. They don't even pay me money to do ad reads. So they would hear these pretty much these torturings and these killings happening from this house at all early hours of the morning. From 76 to 78, that's where the majority of these murders took place, because he referred to this 2-year stretch as his cruising years. Because he was now alone. His wife wasn't there. His 2 stepdaughters weren't there. And it started 1 month.
Bachelor pad.
It started 1 month after finalizing his divorce and then moving out, that he abducted and murdered an 18-year-old named Daryl Sampson, or Darrell. I don't know.
Darrell.
It's spelled just like Daryl, but pronounced Darrell. He was last seen alive in Chicago April 6, 1976. 5 weeks later, on the afternoon of May 14th, a 15-year-old named Randall Ruffett disappeared while walking home from high school. He was gagged with a cloth, causing him to die from asphyxiation. Hours after Ruffett had been abducted, a 14-year-old named Samuel vanished while he walked home from his sister's apartment, and they were both buried in the same grave in the crawl space. So, like, these people, like, in his crawl space, it wasn't that, like, there was just, like, bodies. He buried them in graves. Individual graves, in this case, both
Shallow
the same.
graves, but yeah.
He would bury them in graves until he ran out of room, and then he would start, putting them in his backyard, and then was like, "Oh, that's a stupid idea," and he start putting them down by the river. Down by the river.
Was buried in the backyard.
No, he was buried underneath the floorboards of his kitchen. The first murder.
Oh no, the second murder. That's what it was.
Yeah, I was about to say, the first murder was underneath the kitchen floor. Because not only did he bury him, but he also cemented it. Kind of like a weird, sick momentum of, every time I eat bacon, I think of this young, juicy pussy.
Oh,
Nice thick bacon.
Nice thick uncut bacon. We're fucked up here on this podcast. God damn. Just running through, because we're way over our hour mark that we normally make these. He would just go on in this 2 years, these cruising years in quotations that he would use. He would just left and right be taking these young boys, and some of them worked for him. He would then just take advantage of all these people, drug them, and then introduce them to these sick acts of torture, rape, and eventually placing a tourniquet around their neck and killing them. I'm trying to go through my notes to find the last victim. The last victim got away, like everyone else does. The final murders. Here we go. He would dispose of his victims off of I-55 bridge in Des Plaines River. Gacy stated he had thrown 5 bodies off of this bridge into the river in 1978. One of which believed had landed upon a passing barge, although only 4 of these 5 bodies were ever found. So there's possibly a 34th victim that he killed, but no body was ever found. There's an investigation one afternoon. Oh no, I'm sorry. He got caught because he had weed. yeah, he got caught with marijuana,
The
right?
devil's lettuce.
Got that
That
wacky
damn devil's
tobacco.
lettuce.
That wacky tobacco, you know what I'm saying? And when they came to his house to investigate him, his house reeked of death. Which he then,
Yeah, no doubt.
in his defense, this was his defense, is that uh, the drainage system at his house was so terrible that if it rained, it just smelled really bad. So his house always smelled bad, and that he had recently just got a new puppy, and that the puppy had, and I quote, piddled on the floor and was locked in the kitchen all day while he was at work. Um, and that's why his house smelled so bad. Um, and that's when they found the weed, and they then took him from his house and put him in a holding cell. And they went back to his house, and that's when they cut a hole in the floor and they discovered all the bodies underneath his floorboards. And then,
Jeez.
well, yeah, right, like sick fuck, dude, sick fuck. Um, that's when they arrested him and were like, you killed all these fucking people. You're a sociopath. I know we're rushing through his late life, but I mean, to me personally, like all the stuff that led up to him starting to kill people is just crazy. Like, why would you love your father so much if your first memories of your father is him cracking the back of your skull with a fucking broomstick?
Yeah, just
Yeah.
beating the absolute shit out of you on a
Absolute
daily
fucking
basis.
shit. So what we're gonna do is we're actually going to end the podcast here. And next week we will pick back up for the investigation and the actual trial of John Wayne Gacy. Because he's just
It's just
he's
so much information
so
on
much
this man.
information
Yeah.
that we don't have enough time to fit into this. But we covered the beginning of his life, all the way up through until he started murdering people, and then we'll pick this back up Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll pick up the trial and his death. Thank you for watching, YouTube. I will try and get this up for y'all on Monday. That fucks with y'all.